Hey, what's up? Happy Saturday. I hope that you all are well. Um, I'm doing a paradigm shifting video and it's cool. It's really cool. It's been a little while. I usually say that. I've been saying that a lot lately. I'm trying not to. Hopefully, we can make this more consistent. But I'm Joshua Betancourt, and this is Paradigm Shifting. It's a channel and a tribe that I began to create as I was going through some changes and transformation and growth in my life. And I created it with the intent of, just helping to provide different perspectives related to, life and this experience and how to be and experience a more joyful life, right? And create stronger connections with the people that you love and have more of an impact from, a health perspective and a well-being perspective and a compassion and love perspective. So we talk about things like esoterics and meditation and neurolinguistic programming, all with the intent of helping people have perspectives of transformation. So this is Paradigm Shifting. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Joshua. It's been a little while. I've had quite a few changes in my life over the last, 6 months to a year. Been a lot of transformation. For those of you that don't know, I sold my home and I'm living in downtown Atlanta now, and it's very different than what I had anticipated. I thought it would be, busier, and perhaps it's COVID or what have you, but it's kind of quiet in the city. Typically, game days, obviously people are pouring in, but it's typically quiet, which is kind of nice. It's a cool thing. In any event, I wanted to do a video today, and I wasn't sure about the topic of conversation, but I've had a few friends over the past few weeks reach out to me, and they've been just dealing with life issues, right? Loss and uncertainty, and just things that really have them questioning different aspects of their lives and different aspects of their relationships. And I over the past year, I'm constantly working through personal development, right? So I invest in myself a lot in that area. And one of the things that I thought would be a good topic for conversation on this video was really related to our perception of ourselves and how that works, and then how we might be able to apply it. And so, briefly, I'll kind of explain that, for each of us, this thing that we're experiencing, life, right, builds our character primarily subconsciously, just based on the things that we experience, meaning, the knowledge that we acquire, the relationships that we have, the lessons that we learned as children from our parents, from our teachers, from our friends. All of those things, are literally installed into our memory, right? And we use that as a frame of reference for how we behave and interact with the world around us. And so that process for most people is a subconscious process. They don't really think about it. It just happens, right? It's like, I don't think about, my character. It's just something that's developed naturally over, the course of my life based on the things that I experience. Well, the reality is that process, whether it happens subconsciously or consciously, right, is something that you have influence over, right? The way that you speak, the knowledge that you acquire, the skill sets that you have, the traits that you value, the values that you have in your life are all, certainly things that you can look at and evaluate and determine whether or not that's in alignment with who it is that you want to be. And so one of the most powerful lessons I've learned over the last year is that, when we feel pain or when we're, experiencing, challenges in our life, it's typically because the experience that we're having or the behavior that we're displaying, right, is not in alignment with a higher value, that we either consciously or subconsciously have committed ourselves to. And so when, there is that experience that is in contrast to that value, we experience pain. And even more importantly is like the higher the degree of importance that we place on that value, the more intense the pain is related to us not, experiencing, that value as an expression of life, right? And so this concept was really mind-boggling to me, because then it gives us an opportunity to explore, hey, well, what are my values? What is it that I really want? And then how do I actually, establish and create behaviors and actions that support that? And so I wanted to share that, and I wanted to share the idea of consciously creating and thinking about how you create the definition of yourself, right? How you consciously associate to the different things that you like about yourself, or the things that you might not like about yourself. And in neurolinguistic programming, the way that you can do this is there's a number of different ways to do it. You typically need support from someone who has some experience in the methodology, but reframing and re-imprinting are popular terms in neurolinguistic programming. And in some instances, a re-imprint is a really, really deep process where you go in and you kind of evaluate, an initial situation, an initial experience that you believe created, a subconscious belief for you that might be in opposition to who it is that you are and what it is that you want to be, right? It might be incongruent. And going there, you take a look at all of the details related to that experience, not only from your perspective, but from multiple perspectives, so that you're basically broadening your understanding of what took place. A lot of times when we're experiencing pain, we typically are only seeing the situation from our point of view, from our perspective. And so having the flexibility to really relate to what the other person was experiencing, or even broadening your understanding of why they may have been experiencing that. The reality is that everybody's dealing with their own trauma. They're dealing with their own issues. They're dealing with their own challenges, their own experience. And because we get so consumed by that experience, we might not, be cognizant of empathy, right? We might not be aware that, the other person on the other end of the line, at the other end of the table, right? The person that is interacting in this experience with me, we might not be kind of empathetic towards what it is that they're experiencing. And this is just something that takes time and skill, right? It takes practice, and you've got to be, if it's something that you want, right, you work towards being better at that. But not everybody works at that, right? And so I say this from the perspective of, there's a saying in neurolinguistic programming that, everybody's doing the best that they know how with the resources and skills and knowledge that they have. And sometimes that is tough, right? Sometimes that's difficult because, we expect more of others, or we expect others to have the same degree of commitment and interaction or support for a relationship or an interaction as we do. And not everyone sees things or desires the things that we want. And so, we run into conflict, right? We run into, situations where we're not necessarily, pursuing the same end goal. And this can create challenges. So today, I want to give just a brief overview of how you can use some of these skills, right? Like you can use this idea of being able to review a powerful experience in your life and apply it to different areas of what is called the neurological levels. And so I'll just go over this really brief, but it's something to think about. So when you find that you have an aspect of yourself that you feel, wants, that you feel needs to change, a good question to ask yourself is, how is it that this characteristic, how is it that this quality really shows up for me in my life, right? Is it something that I'm missing? Is it something that I could use more of? Is it something that I could develop? And if that's the case, I would challenge you to think about it across multiple levels of what it is, of what your experience is. So, how does that show up in your environment? How does that show up in your behaviors? How does that show up in the skills and resources and capabilities that you have in order to actually be a part of, to actually, demonstrate this characteristic or quality that you have? What are your beliefs and values in supporting this aspect of yourself? And then ultimately, how does that relate to your identity, who it is that you are. And I assure you that if you apply just a little bit of time to explore all of these different things, right? Like, what's my environment like when I behave with this characteristic or this quality of compassion, right? And then what are the behaviors that I display when I'm being compassionate towards others or towards myself? And how did I learn that? What skills and what resources did I actually acquire in order to be compassionate? Is it in my language? Is it in my physiology? Is it patience? What is it? And then, what is it that I believe and value about having this idea of compassion that really enhances my life, that enhances the relationships that I have? And then finally, once I've embodied all of that, how does that show up in my identity? How is Joshua a compassionate person? And just the exploration of this will give you so much. It's such a rich experience in the sense that it will help you expand your understanding of the moments that you have been compassionate, how you really value it, and then how it shows up for you in your environment and in your world through your behaviors and your language. This is what I really believe the internal work is all about, right? It's really about looking in the mirror and finding those spaces where you feel that you can improve, where you feel that you can, enhance your life and inspire the lives of others through, your reflection of compassion, love, empathy, joy, whatever those things might be. And so that's what this is about. This whole thing is about just kind of going over that and helping give people some tools where they can, take a few minutes and go through an exercise that might help them expand and transform the way that they perceive themselves, in hopes that they might be able to better a situation and bring more light and love to the world. Well, I'm really glad that I did this video now. And I hope that everyone has an amazing weekend. And I am looking forward to connecting with each and every one of you as you see fit. So if you ever have any questions or if you're ever interested in kind of learning more, by all means, reach out to me through the group, send me a messenger, instant messenger message or what have you. Light and love. Take care. Until next time.